Hello and welcome to another recording from your friends at Supraliminal Games. My name is Max and we are going to explore Arena today because we got new stuff yesterday. Dan and I live streamed. If you didn't see it, make sure to watch the video on YouTube or on Twitch. Twitch channel is Twitch TV/Supraliminal Films, twitch.tv/Supraliminal Films. YouTube is YouTube.com/Supraliminal Films as well. It's Supraliminal Films or Supraliminal Games, mostly Supraliminal Films, all over the internet. So check us out if you get a chance. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what needs to change. Let me know what needs to stay the same. Whatever you got, I want to hear it. Alright, so let's jump right into it. A couple things. Competitive constructed. So there's now a constructed that is a little bit tougher to play. It's a little bit tougher to do. It's a little bit more demanding than quick constructed, and a little bit different than the just simply ladder constructed as opposed to ranked constructed that we had previously. We have competitive draft as well as quick draft. So there's a lot of different options for either limited or for constructed, depending on what you're looking for. As you can see, I have some packs yet to be opened. We'll open some packs at the start here in a moment. One of the other things I have not done is I have not worked on my decks at all for constructed. So if I go the constructed route, I'm going to do that. If I go the limited route, I'm probably just going to quick draft Aether Revolt and Kaladesh. So let's open some packs up. First up, we'll open a Dominaria pack just because we're recording and that's something we should do. Then we'll jump into the given packs. So got some Volti P. What is Volti P? Oh, it won't tell me until I click on this. Here we go. Jaya's Immolating Inferno. 38.7. So let's jump to a Kaladesh pack. Kaladesh, yeah. There's less fancy stuff to open than Aether Revolt, so we're going to open Kaladesh. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Sahili's Artistry. Next Kaladesh pack is Metalwork Colossus. Good one. I love that card for more casual formats. It's cool. A couple wild cards. I'd like to see that. And Inventor's Unfair. Aether Revolt. What do we get? Karizev's Expertise. Aether Revolt. Pack. And we have Indomitable Creativity. Destroy X artifacts and or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals the top card of their library until an artifact or creature card is revealed that way. Hang on. Oh, there's a scroll feature. Okay, here we go. Its controller reveals the top card of the library until an artifact or creature card is revealed, then and exiles that card. Those players put the exiled cards onto the battlefield and shuffle their library. So it's like a giant polymorph, essentially. And last Aether Revolt pack. We have Consulate Crackdown. When it enters the battlefield, exile all artifacts your opponents control until it leaves the battlefield. So it's a big O-ring for all of your opponent's artifacts. So it's kind of cool, actually, in EDH, and a card I'm surprised we haven't seen a little bit more of, because exiling all of your opponent's artifacts is pretty crazy. I mean, it draws the hate pretty fast. But cool card nonetheless. So let's jump over back to our main screen here. So we have some wild cards. I don't think I'm really super close in terms of land to finishing the blue-white approach. And I think I'm a little ways off of finishing red so that it gets to where it needs to be. So I think the best thing to do in that case is a quick draft. So we definitely have enough gems. We have 3,200 gems. It is 750 gems to enter. I do not have enough gold to enter. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in. We're going to do that. And I do want to purchase. Alright, let's switch layouts because I like this layout better. I don't know why. Maybe this layout is better. Now, I like to see that, well, we'll start here. But we have a Glint Sleeve Siphoner, which is a 4 of that was given to us by WotC when this came out. So thank you, WotC. Efficient Construction. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you can put a 1/1 Thopter into play. I'm going to go through the cards, so bear with me because I haven't played this format since the Aether Revolt pre-release. So I've never drafted it, and it's been a while since I remember really anything about this format. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you get an energy. Pay energy, sacrifice Gonti's Machinations. Each opponent loses 3 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So not really good because it's a one-hitter. Servo Schematic. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard, create a 1/1 colorless servo, which is pretty good because there's a lot of ways to sack artifacts. And there is a lot of revolt triggers going on. Implement of Improvement. We have Countless Gears Renegade. Gear Up Osprey, Dispersal Technician, Aether Poisoner, which I remember being I remember the cycle being pretty decent, with the red one being the strongest, this one being up there. This and blue, I believe, are all really good. Wrangle, a Filigree Crawler, an Aether Herder, a Prey Upon, and a Chandra's Revolution. I think this Chandra's Revolution's pretty good. I think Glint Sleeve, though, is just the best card in the pack. It's an efficient way for us to spend all of our energy, and it's a good energy creator. So I think we're going to go there. It's a 2/1 for 2 with Menace. It's got evasion off the bat. So we'll go ahead and we'll go there, and I'm going to adjust the settings a little bit. So Creativity, which we just mentioned at the top of the pack opening here. Maulfist Revolutionary has a 3/3 Trampler for 3. When it enters the battlefield or dies, for each kind of counter on target permanent, give that player or permanent another of that kind. So bare minimum, it can add an energy. It can add +1/+1 counters. It's pretty good. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Pretty obvious synergies there. Alley Evasion, which is pretty good. Automaton, which is not pretty good. Bastion Inventor, which was actually pretty good in this format. It's a big improviser that can come down quickly. Fourth Bridge Prowler. It's okay. Not great. Implement of Malice. Daring Demolition, however, is one of the best cards in the set. It's just straight up removal for a creature or a vehicle, which is very good. Destructive Tampering. Lathnu Sailback. Unbridled Growth, which is more of a pauper card, because you can sack it to draw a card, which is actually pretty good in the Bogle deck. And Foundry Assembler, which is okay. So we're going to go with the Daring Demolition. It's in color, and it is a good piece of unconditional removal. For us, Deft Dismissal, 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 attacking or blocking creatures. Not bad for white. Cogwork Assembler, 7 to make a copy that gains haste, and you exile it, so it makes more. Audacious Infiltrator, who's actually not too bad because of the fact that Cerbos exist, and it just simply can't be blocked by them. Ice Over, pretty solid. Shipwreck Moray is a good energy creator. 05, though, is a little meh, but it can get big quick. Defiant Salvager, sacrifice an artifact or creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. You can only activate that at sorcery speed. Daring Demolition, which would be Daring Demolition number 2. Fen Hauler, it's okay, it's got Improvise. Precise Strike it's a combat trick if you're into that kind of thing. High Spire Infusion gives you a couple energy, it pumps your guy. The Bandar, the good one of the Bandars, and Consulate Turret. But this is an easy second Daring Demolition for us, no problem there. Secret Salvage. Exile target non-land card from your graveyard. Search your library for any number of cards with the same name as that card. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. So, pretty cool for EDH, but not really for this format. Hidden Herbalists. When they enter the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield, which is the Revolt Clause, add green, so they can be a free 2/2. Crackdown Construct. Whenever you activate the ability of an artifact or a creature that is not a mana ability, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. So that could work nicely in tandem with our Glint Sleeve Siphoner. We have a Gear Up Osprey, good stats, flying. Again, Ice Over, which I think is very solid. Enchants an artifact or a creature, and it is like a dehydration, which is really good. The Automaton's okay. Alley Strangler, 2/3 Menace, not really where we want to be here this early, I think. Reservoir Walker's okay. Consulate Turret again. Frontline Rebel's quite good. We could easily be on a black-red deck, and this card's pretty good at that. It's a 3/3. It has to attack each turn if able, which is not that big of a drawback in this format. Tonight's drink is a rye-based old-fashioned, so cheers. I don't have any orange rind. That's one thing I'm missing. But it's okay. Let's see. So, my considerations here is the Crackdown Construct. It will put us into another 4-drop, which I'm not in love with. We have the 2-drop Siphoner. I'm thinking the Rebel's kind of nice for curve consideration purposes. And again, I'm not remembering the format super clearly from before. So, I mean, I don't remember the Herbalist being a high tier pick or anything. So, I don't think I'm missing much here. But I'm going to go with the Frontline Rebel. 3/3 for 3. It brings the beat downs. Black-red's a good archetype to be in because of its aggression. So, we'll see what we can do. Gremlin Infestation. Enchant artifact. At the beginning of your end step, Gremlin Infestation deals 2 damage to the enchanted artifact's controller. When it's put into a graveyard, you create a 2/2 Gremlin. So it nulls on it till it goes away, and then it makes a Gremlin. In color for us is the Fen Hauler. Not that great. Again, we have a couple things we saw previously. Negate with crazy art. We have this Verdant Automaton, which I actually like quite a bit, and I remember being pretty good. Again, Unbridled Growth, more of a pauper card, but not bad. It's fixing, but I don't think we want to get into that mess. Not when there's another Frontline Rebel here for us, and I think that's just an easy pickup again. Alright, so let us see here. For us, there is a 4th Bridge Prowler again, which I'm not opposed to, but I'm not in love with. Alley Strangler, which is the same story. You can see the stat difference, the 3/3 for 3 versus the 2/3. Menace is a fine ability, but I don't know as though that's where we want to necessarily be on our 3-drop. Destructive Tampering's not bad. The fact it can just falter in a pinch is pretty strong. It's much stronger. I mean, there's a white card here that's not very good. There's a blue card here that is okay, but again, not very good. Aether Inspector, I mean, is fine, but not great. And Filigree Crawler, not really where we want to be. So let's grab up a Tampering, because the falter effect should behoove us later. We could go with another Frontline Rebel. We have an Emberall Gear Smasher. Sacrifice an artifact, 2 damage to each opponent. Kind of good in that we can utilize the Gear Smasher to help push through damage in the late game when the board gets clogged up or where our creatures just become invalidated by bigger creatures. This is a way to push through the last few points of damage, which is not negligible. There's another Frontline Rebel. I don't know as though we necessarily need 3. Again, another Alley Strangler, a Resourceful Return. If you control an artifact, it draws you a card and it recurs a creature. It's pretty good. I actually don't hate this card. One of these effects is really solid to have, and the question is, can we get another one throughout the draft versus this Gear Smasher, which I think's pretty good, but it requires us picking up artifacts for it to be very good. So I'm thinking right now maybe just the Resourceful Return. What we really need is we need to prioritize some more removal, maybe a low-end removal spell to complement our Daring Demolitions, and obviously we're looking for win conditions as well, and this might qualify. But it requires a lot. It might just be easier to pick a Frontline Rebel and keep those coming, but they do have diminishing returns, because if your opponent gets out a big creature, all of a sudden this thing has to attack, and you're just throwing your Frontline Rebels into their stuff and not getting any value. So let's go with the Emberall Gear Smasher, because I don't know the value of a third of the Frontline Rebels. Decommission's really strong, and I'm actually surprised to see it in the pack this late. This was one of the better white cards, so I may throw that into the sideboard, because by no means are we locked into red or black. Like, our black I'd like to play. 2 Daring Demolitions are premium commons, and Glint Sleeve Siphoner is a good rare. It's not a bomb, but it's a really good rare. As for red, there's not really a ton going on there, so we could pivot if we need to, and maybe the decommission's telling us that white is the way to go in our spot. Again, we're drafting with AI, so there are things to take into consideration in that regard, but the way Reed Duke treats his drafts on Moto, even though you're playing against somebody who's not in your pod, he still drafts as if he were in a pod for real. I kind of try to treat this particular AI that same way. So I like to believe that we do have a chance to kind of use our seat to our advantage. Augmenting Automaton is not bad. It's an artifact, which pairs nicely with our Emberall Gear Smasher, and it also is a Shade Pump. It's on a low drop in the curve and can be better later game, so I don't hate this card. I actually managed to do really well with it at the pre-release. I boarded into 4 of them and a couple other very low drops and managed to smash my opponents pretty hard. But I also had a Masterpiece Static Orb, which made things pretty gross, so it was pretty neat. So I'm thinking it's either spec on the Decommission, because again, this is a powerful card, or go with the Augmenting Automaton. I'm thinking, because the Augmenting Automaton's in our color, it's an attractive choice, but I'm just going to spec on the Decommission, because I think we don't necessarily need one of those, and we can pick them up later. Like, I don't think we're, like, begging for that. Gonti's Machinations, I still don't think is very good. It's a one-shot for 3 life. In a multiplayer game, maybe it's not bad because you can gain 9 life with it, but it's not great. This particular implement, the white one, is one of the weakest ones because all it does is gain you some life. At this point, a Wrangle's tempting for the board if we want it. I don't think there's any chance we board into Gonti's Machinations, so I'm just going to grab a Wrangle for the board. Let's see here. We got an Improviser. It's a 3/3, but it's on the same size as our Frontline Rebels, so it's kind of mediocre. 5/4 for 5 might be an okay way to test the waters. Fourth Bridge Prowler, again, isn't all that great, but it can be pretty powerful. You just come in and nuke one of your opponent's dudes. And Alley Evasion, actually pretty strong. It can either bounce a creature, or it can give +1/+2, and it's a neat way to trigger Revolt if you're into that. So the question is, the Sailback, the Prowler, or the Alley Evasion. This is a total spec to see if we can get into white. This is pretty good in the deck we're building, but not spectacular. And the Sailback is a mediocre way to close out a game. I don't think we're going to be too hard-pressed to find decent-sized bodies in the late. So let's grab a 4th Bridge Patrol and see if that's worth fiddling with here. Consulate Turret, not really where I want to be. To a player or planeswalker, it's very slow. It just doesn't do a whole lot. Precise Strike is kind of right on. It's on color, which is, I'm actually surprised that Ice Over is still in the pack. That's very, like, these dehydration effects are quite good. This one doesn't tap the thing, so you have to wait for it to tap, but that can shut them off on the very cheap. Let's grab a Precise Strike. I'm in for 1 combat trick. None of these are really good, so I'll grab a Secret Salvage for my collection, because I get to keep all these cards. Precise Strike or Negate. I don't think we need a second Precise Strike, but I will throw one on the board. And Salvage Scuttler is the last card. So we're on to the next pack, and I'll blow this one up a little bit so you can see it a little easier. Quicksmith Rebel is actually quite awesome. It's a good clock. It's a 3/2 body that gives us a way to, again, close out the game, much like the Frontline Rebel. So that looks like it should be the pick for us. I'll go through a couple more, but I do think that this is the one to take. Caught in the Brights is a good consideration. It's a good removal spell in white. We did spec on a white card earlier, so we could definitely pivot into white if we wanted to. Cruel Finality, I like it a lot. Target creature gets -2/2, scry 1. It's a nice piece of removal. I definitely would take it if the Quicksmith Rebel wasn't in the pack, but this card does require, and it's 2 damage to any target, so it can tag creatures. It's just such a good way to close out a game or to get you back from behind. So I think I'm going to take it, and I'm going to prioritize trying to get some playable artifacts. Even if an artifact's a little worse than a non-artifact we could play, I would probably take it just so we can have some artifacts in the deck to pair with our Quicksmith Rebel. That being said, we have a Deadeye Harpooner, which is pretty good. Pima Aether Seer, again, pretty good. The Spire Patrol is not bad. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad. 3/2 flyer for 4, and it gets to tap something down. Audacious Infiltrator, as I discussed before, is pretty good. Osprey is pretty good. Implement of Examination, you pay a blue to sack it to draw a card, and then when it's put in, you draw a card. It costs 3 and then 1 to sack. It's not bad in the middle of the game, but it's not spectacular. There's another Smasher, but we're light on artifacts to play. Like, at this point, we're actually looking at something like a potential Implement of Malice or an Augmenting Automaton to pair up. I'm not a huge fan of pairing up necessarily the creatures-based artifacts because they're easier to remove, but Implement of Malice is kind of medium. It makes a player discard a card, and then it draws us a card like all the implements do, so it's not spectacular, but I don't necessarily want to try splashing. This format isn't too forgiving for splashes, if I remember correctly. It's not like Dominaria, where you get to play a lot of cards. It's very much building a concise deck on a good curve and being able to play the game in a smooth order of operations is much higher reward than it is for just playing as many good cards as you can, despite their colors. And Dominaria is quite the opposite, and I'm sure you've seen some of our other stuff. If you haven't, we have a lot of Dominaria stuff. Again, Supraliminal Films on Twitch, Supraliminal Films on YouTube. Check it out, see if there's other Dominaria stuff you like. I think I'm really struggling with the format right now, so I'm trying to make my my brain work over and work through what the format is truly about and how to do it, because I much prefer a format that is more streamlined, and I can, if I draft a good deck, I'm rewarded by being able to play it well and get an opponent who's not as good at drafting. Where in Dominaria, you can just be rewarded by taking good cards, despite being 3 or 4 colors. As long as you're able to tie the room together in drafting and be able to get to those colors, you can really do good things. So I think it's a very strong set for just if you want to play some grindy Magic. It's really good, and I'm having a tough time winning at it. So let's look at this pack. It's a pretty stacked one. Foundry Hornet, 2/3 flyer for 4. When it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with a 1/1 counter, it gets your creatures your opponent control get -1/-1 until end of turn. It's pretty good. Ironclad Revolutionary. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, you put 2 1/1 counters on it, and each opponent loses 2 life. So it's a nice way to close things out. Ravenous Intruder, sack an artifact, gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It is the Gremlin Atog. We are not set up to deal with the Gremlin Atog. I'd love to have it in our deck, but then we're going to have to start drafting more augmenting automatons or implements of some ilk, which I'm not necessarily into. Same with the Defiant Salvager, is a worse Ravenous Intruder. So I think the place we want to look at is either this Ironclad Revolutionary, because it's just a 4/4 for 6, so it's a big creature, or the Hornet, which can double as removal, if we can get things with the, I forget the effect, that puts 1/1 counters or creates servos, and we'll see it at some point in the draft. We probably already have, and I've missed it, but we don't have that Fabricate. I feel like it's Fabricate. We don't have any Fabricate yet. It's something, we're already prioritizing artifacts as a whole, so I think the Ironclad Revolutionary goes a little better with that plan, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. As opposed to then trying to prioritize 2 things, we're prioritizing 1 thing, which I like a lot better. Pia's Revolution. It's an enchantment for 3. Whenever a non-token is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to your hand unless they have this particular revolution deal 3. It's okay. Sly Requisitioner is a 2/2 with Improvise for 5. Whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into the graveyard from play or from the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless servo. So it can definitely pay dividends if we have low-end artifacts, which right now we're struggling to get. Invigorated Rampage is quite a good card. You either get target creature +4/+0 and trample, or 2 creatures +2/+0 and trample. So it's quite good. It's an instant. It's a very, very messed up card. Another automaton, Welder Automaton, is the card that I think is our pick. There is a Sweatworks Brawler, which I'm fine with. It's, again, a 3/3, but it's got Menace, and it only costs 4. And it has Improvise, so if we were to drop an Automaton on 1, on turn 2 we could play something else, and then turn 3 we drop a Sweatworks Brawler, which is pretty gross. The Welder Automaton's quite good in this format. This is one that kind of flies under the radar because it's a 2/1 for 2, but that pay 4, deal 1 damage to each opponent is very powerful. If we combine that with our Quicksmith Rebel, we can start tapping the Welder for 2 damage and then paying 4 for 1 more damage. So we can start clocking our opponent with a 4-cost Lightning Bolt every single turn if things play out nicely for us. This is definitely a card I'd be hoping to grab in this draft. I don't know if it's worth taking it over this Invigorated Rampage, which is quite strong, but these are both very good picks. I think right now, based on the way our deck looks, we have, as far as creatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 creatures, which is pretty good. Not the worst, and the Improvised Rampage could be quite good at punching through some damage. I'm just really tempted with this Welder Automaton. I don't know if we're going to get another crack at one, and being able to close... I mean, the negative in that camp is we have other cards that can close out the game for us, so the Invigorated Rampage is doing something a little different. So I think this is also... the creature's also a 2-drop, and we have 1 2-drop so far. So for those reasons, I think it pushes Welder up just a little bit higher over the Improvised. If you don't like that pick, again, please let me know down in the comments, and tell me what you think you should have picked there, and give me a good reason why. We have Dark Intimations, which lets you search for Bolus, which is not in this block. BTW. The Swooper, which is what I mentioned earlier, is in that cycle of cards, and it's quite good. Daring Demolition number 3 is quite attractive. From there, I think I mean, the problem is we don't have any cheap removal, but we do have 3 pieces of unconditional removal. So I think that sets us up pretty nicely on the removal front. Now, we have a Night Market Aeronaut, which is a 2/2 flyer with Revolt, and if you Revolt, it gets a +1/+1 counter, which is pretty good. We have a Sweatworks Brawler, which is the 3/3 Menace with Improvise, which is also pretty good. I think I mean, I don't know which one's really better per se. We're definitely going to have a lot of things dying because we're on a low curve. We have a couple frontline rebels that are going to be attacking. It feels like we could definitely trigger Revolt very easily. But the Sweatworks Brawler is pretty good in that it has the Improvise and the Menace. So it's a tricky one for me to say. I'm going to grab the Sweatworks Brawler because it's just simply always a 3/3 Menace, where the other one could be a 2/2 flyer for 4. So not quite as strong in our colors. So another Daring Demolition, kind of an embarrassment of riches for us as far as unconditional removal. We're going to be killing everything. Along those lines, we have another Ironclad Revolutionary, which is a good closer, but not spectacular. There's no kind of evasion or anything, so that is a bit of a consideration when we're staring at a Cruel Finality, and we can just be red-black, like mono removal. Seems like an attractive deck to me. It makes it so we can play worse creatures because we're going to have the only creatures on the board. Like right now, we have 4 Daring Demolition, we have a Quicksmith Rebel, and we have a Cruel Finality. Our deck is going to murder everything. It's crazy. So we're going to grab up a not a Cruel Finality, but a Alley Strangler. With that being said, another fourth Bridge Prowler, which is not great. I think I'm going to grab up the Implement. Maybe we run it, maybe we don't. Moving on. I think we're going to grab another Automaton. I think we're in the market for maybe running 2 of those. Here's the Resourceful Return I said I'd like to grab, so we'll definitely grab that here. Reservoir Walker. Not spectacular for us, so we're going to move that to the board, and same with that. Alright, Botanical Sanctum is a fast land, which means it comes into play tapped early in the game. Let's see, what else do we got? Unfortunately, this pack is kind of a donkey for us. We have Malphus Squad, which has Fabricate, which is kind of attractive, because again, we want to create artifacts, so that's not the worst. We also have a Chandra's Pyro Helix, which is 2 damage for 2 instant. I'm tempted to take that. It puts us on so much removal. We really have to find a decent creature to help close out games for us. But at this point, we're in really good shape as far as being able to just murder everything they play. Inventor's Apprentice, affectionately known in the Magic community as the Nerd Ape, is a 1/2 for 1 that gets +1/+1 if you have an artifact. So I think that's going to be the pickup here. And again, we're going to try to prioritize some artifacts. Tidy Conclusion's good. It costs 5. We have so much unconditional removal, though, that I don't even feel like we need to take that. Same with the Pyro Helix. Like, we can pass these cards that are quality pieces of removal for better early bodies because we have so much removal already. Ambitious Aetherborn, 4/3 for 5 with Fabricate 1. Club Security is 3/4. Nilla for 4, not really where we want to be. Spireside Infiltrator, whenever it becomes tapped, it deals a damage to each opponent. So it's a good attacker if the board is clear. And again, we get rewarded for cards like that because we've drafted so much removal. In the world of vehicles, we have Oval Chase Dragster, which is quite good. It crews on the very cheap, and it can hit really hard. It's got trample and haste, so it can be crewed as soon as it enters the battlefield. So it's kind of basically ball lightning. So that seems to be attractive. There's revoke privileges. If we were in white, we'd be very tempted with the revoke. I think the pick for us is going to be the Oval Chase Dragster because we need the artifact, and it can also smash pretty hard for us. So I think that's pretty darn good. All right, we have Aether Flux Reservoir as our rare. If we were in EDH, this would be a bomb, but we're not. Brazen Scourge, 3/3 for 3 with haste is very attractive for us. Live fast, draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, and get energy. Energy is actually really good because we're in the world of trading 1 for 1. One way we can get ahead very easily is to just simply have more access to more cards than our opponent. So that's very powerful. And again, we have another Ambitious Aetherborn, but I'm just going to grab up this Brazen Scourge. It's very, very good. Terror of the Fairgrounds, a 5/2 Gremlin. Cathartic Reunion, which would be a little better if we were playing Dredge in Modern. We have Diabolic Tutor, which would be a little better if we were playing Commander. Speedway Fanatic has haste. Whenever it crews a vehicle, the vehicle gains haste. 2-1 for 2. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. And we also have Subtle Strike, which I'm a big fan of. But the nice thing is we have so much removal, we don't have to take a card like Subtle Strike. We can just take the Speedway Fanatic. It's not a spectacular card, but it beats down, and that's kind of what we're, again, really in the market for. 4-5 for 4 with Menace, or a 4-3 Fabricate 1 for 5. I think we're more in the market for, sadly, Vanilla with Fabricate, so it could be a 5-4 if we need it to be, and more importantly, it can produce an artifact, so we can pair it up with our artifact synergies. We have very expensive Train, very hard to crew, which is the main problem with it. We have Larger Than Life is not for us. Rush of Vitality, quite good. Creature gains lifelink and indestructible. Very, very good combat trick. And we have Start Your Engines. Vehicles become crewed and they get +2/+0, which is not very good. We have this Mastodon, which isn't very good. I mean, overall, is a pretty bad pack for us. No creature we really are interested in. I don't think the Train is playable for us. It might be because we have so many little creatures, and crewing with the frontline rebels is an okay way to make them not attack. But I just don't know if we're in for this Aradara Express. It can take over a game. It's got Menace. So it's maybe worth specking on over the Rush of Vitality, which I think is quite good. Alright, so looking over here, we have a 7-cost 5/7 with Fabricate 1, which sees minor play in the blue-black control decks and the Tron decks in Pauper. So that's pretty fun, but not really for us. Thriving Rats is quite good. It's a decent little creature. It does work. It can get to a reasonable enough size. We can pay off our energy with it, because we have a couple other little minor energy production pieces. It works. Night Market Lookout, no. I mean, our 4th Bridge Prowler is already sketchy enough, plus 2 automatons. Like, we're so tapped out in regard to our 1-drops. I'm probably going to take the P-Foul. It's not great, but maybe we can... I don't think we can really sneak in a blue source, but maybe we play it, maybe we don't. Salivating Gremlins is pretty good. It's an attacker. At this point, we're just looking for bodies, I think, to round out our curve. Ruinous Gremlin, better than it looks because of the ability to sack and destroy an artifact. I don't know if we're in for another ambitious Aetherborn, certainly not in for some club security. So, the Ruinous Gremlin actually quite good, and I'm going to put it in the side for now, but it could come into the main pretty easy. Alright, here's the Live Fast, which is pretty good, and I think the card we're going to take. I don't know if it'll make our main or not, but we'll grab a Diabolic Tutor. And last thing, Dramatic Reversal. Hey, Vault Progress. Where's our Vault? 60%. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Alright, so again, they haven't really fixed this view, so sadly I can't really... The only other way I can do it is like that, and that just makes it agonizing to look at. So I'm going to keep it down low, so just bear with me here. Right now, total, we have 49 cards. We got to drop 9 cards if we want to play 17 land. 17 land is probably where we want to be. Sadly, I'd prefer to be on 16 with a little bit lighter of a curve, but we have color demands in both directions. It's a little bit spicy, so we'll see what we can do. Ironclad Revolutionary, we'll keep in for now. It's a good way to close out a game. Aradar is good. The Ambitious Aetherborn's good. Oval Chase is good. 4 Daring Demolition seems good. Sweaty Bee seems fine. Quickswift Rebel, we're going to drop the P-Foul for now. Destructive Tampering seems playable. Live Fast seems playable. Cruel Finality as well. Brazen Scourge very much so. Salivating Gremlins kind of medium. Frontline Rebels seem fine. Ember, the Smasher, I don't know if we got enough artifacts to play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if we play them all. So I don't quite think so on the Gear Smasher. Alley Strangler's kind of questionable, but not 100% there. Pyro Helix. Resourceful Return. Implement of Malice may have to come out. Speedway Fanatic is mediocre, as is the Welder's pretty good. The Thriving Rats is fine. The Glint Sleeve is fine. Precise Strike's pretty good, but it may have to come out because we have so much removal. A combat trick kind of loses its potency. So let's see where we're at after that. I don't think it was enough, but no, it was only enough for 3 cuts. So Welder, all right, Implement can come out. Where else are we going here? I do think the two automatons should stay in. Fourth Bridge and Nerd Ape are both fine-ish. They might be a little bit too low end. We'll see. Thriving Rat, Speedway Fanatic. Speedway Fanatic might be a little too mediocre. 2-1 Haster. It's kind of okay, but it's not spectacular. Alley Strangler's medium. Let's get rid of the Salivating Gremlins for the same reason we cut the Smasher. We just don't have a lot of artifacts. Sacrifice an artifact. Maybe it's the Ironclad Revolutionary and we use the Aradara Express to get there. So maybe we try that. That also cuts down on the curve considerably. Though our 2s are 6 and we want to cast all but one of them on time probably. So it's not too bad. I feel like we're glutted on 4s pretty heavy. So maybe Sweaty Bee goes. So it's just a 3-3 menace. I don't want to go too nuts on cutting creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 creatures. And then we have the vehicles, obviously. So we're pretty much tapped out on creatures right now, cutting creatures. We still need to cut 2 more cards. We could, I mean, I want to cut something on the 4-drop, because look at our 4, but look at the quality of cards on our 4-drop is absurd. So I just don't think we can cut there. So it makes me want to cut something on the 1-drop. 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe Nerd Ape just doesn't get there because of how little we have in the way of stuff. I don't really want to cut an automaton because, again, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts is kind of where we're at. We need to be able to hit an artifact to pair with our Quicksmith Rebel. So I'm thinking that Inventor's Apprentice is not really doing much for us. It's just a 1-2. It can come down on the first turn, but if we get rid of it, it takes away the urgency of having red on our curve. So I think it's important cut to take. I'll take the 4th Bridge, like whatever. I'll donk one of their little guys, or post combat you put it into the battlefield and you kill off a guy. We have a lot of removals, so again, it's not like it's a necessity to have that creature, but I still think it's pretty good. Tampering's the one that I'm anticipating kind of wanting to cut. If we get mixed up to where the game's totally locked up and we can't aggro our way through the early part with all our removal, I say we bring the Tampering in off the board. So I think that should get us to 40. Perfect. So let's count up symbols. Count as a collective 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So yeah, definitely a much heavier black. We want black a little earlier in the curve, so I think 11 and 6 is accurate. So we'll go ahead and we'll register this black-red aggressive deck. Let's go ahead and get started on game 1. See if we can eke out a couple wins with this aggroing people out plan. The bare minimum, it'll be a fairly concise recording, so that's not bad. Oh, White Teferi is fighting Chandra. I haven't finished the story, or not Chandra, Jaya. I haven't finished the story yet, but they're getting along at the moment, so maybe spoiler alert? 2-drop into 3-drop. 2-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop, so I'm going to keep it. It's got some good hits in it. We'll see what we can cobble together with this pile. That was weird. Alright. That last card is hard to get to. Let's throw down the Siphoner. I mean, could have hit with the Fanatic to draw out a piece of removal, perhaps. Alright, perfect. Bastion Enforcer is not going to block our creature. And then we will Um, hand clicking is weird now. This is my first time back in since the big update, so Dan played on the live stream. Yes, we will definitely draw additional cards when we get the chance. They're leaving 3 white up, so, I mean, that could indicate a combat trick. So there's Cruel Finality, which is a little bit less mana intensive. I'd rather just tap out here to Daring Demolition their guy. They also could just be stuck. So we'll see. It's like pre-attacking with creatures. It's weird. Okay. Moving right along. That was weird. They put the front line. I mean, the front line, I guess it had to attack, so it was moved up. And they're like, you have to attack with this one. Okay, that's a nothing. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to pre-combat, if I can get him down, play this Speedway. Oh, shapoopy. I hit the thing. Oops. Alright, well, we gave him a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. I can Daring Demolition their thing. I mean, that was stupid. I just got a little ahead of myself. I forgot the thing must attack. That's throwing me off pretty badly. It should just not force it into attack, like, you know, attack position, if you will, because it slides the card up. It should just not let you move through that step. Which one's this? 1 damage to target player. Oh, player? You can't target my guy with that. You may deal it to me, not to my Siphoner. Okay, they conceded. Yeah, they were pretty overwhelmed there. So not a bad win. It was really stupid. A really stupid misclick. It's going to happen again. This is my first my first go at this. I wasn't familiar with the card that had to attack every turn. That was 100% my fault. So let's give it another go. I mean, that's what you do, right? You give it another go. But we were able to curve out really nicely there. Our opponent got stuck on land, so it's not like much of an accomplishment. But I did like the way the deck played out on curve. I feel like we could have dealt with a number of creatures with multiple demolitions and the -2/-2 in our hand. Like, we had a lot of options in that particular game, I feel. So I think it looks well suited to get through a good, decent game. Kersplode is our opponent. And they are in the tank. Alright. So we have a Scourge, which we can't cast. We have a Pyro Helix, which we can. A Demolition, a Live Fast. I'm not a huge fan of this hand because it doesn't really do anything. We need like an action spell, if you will, or a mountain to cast the Scourge. That being said, mulliganing in Limited is really hard to do. Especially for me, I'm not a pro player. I'm not really like a spectacular player by any stretch. If you watch some of our other videos, you'll see I get by, but I mean, I'm nothing to write home about. So mulliganing a hand that has cards that are castable seems pretty hard to do to me. Alright. So Rats doesn't block very well. Glint Sleeve doesn't block very well, but establishing the Glint Sleeve here is pretty nice. Because we can Glint Sleeve into... I mean, the argument would be to Rats because we get the energy faster, but I'm kind of fine with this. If they want to get aggressive with the Rats, that's fine. We definitely won't block because of the ability to pump. They have to choose right now, but they're going to. So maybe they have a removal spell. Maybe they have a follow-up creature. Creature can't block the Siphoner. Feels like a piece of removal here. They're hovering over the thing multiple times. So yeah, Fatal Push. Alright. Alright, so here I think we just live fast. Our opponent's not punishing us very hard for this kind of a play. So... that's fine. It gave us our land to continue to move through the game. Next turn we can Brazen Scourge them if we wish. Maybe not. Alright. Aradar Express. All aboard. The Aradara Express. So I think it's going to be Chandra's Pyrohelix followed by a rat, because we can just go ahead and kind of get that going. And then it's a lot harder to grab cards in your hand. And then rats. And our rat can attack. If the window opens, our rat can attack multiple times. Another Malphus squad. See what they choose to do with it. Right. Cruel Finality. Fourth Bridge Patrol is not bad. I think that's going to be the play here. It's going to be Fourth Bridge plus Brazen Scourge. Because, yes, please. We get to punish them pretty hard for the just leaving back a 3/1. Yes, please. I would like to make it bigger. So we get to kind of crack back pretty hard. So we'll see what they can come up with to deal with what we have. We have a Daring Demolition and a Cruel Finality in our hand. So definitely some things to do. We have some action. Some business. Resourceful Return. Okay. Which they can't use to recast. So they may just not put down a creature this turn, yeah. The Quicksmith Rebel makes me kind of want to play the Aradara here. They can gang block my Brazen Scourge. If they do, I get to blow them out with Cruel Finality. So, pretty in for that. Yes, I would like to take that action. So the rat gets pretty big. Okay, so they're just going to... Double blocking the rat's a bad idea. Don't do that. Alright, so they're going to get... done. If I can grab this card. Do I want to do that? Maybe I don't. Maybe I just want to let that happen. I should have ordered that differently. That was my fault. I kind of thought about it and then changed my mind. Not a good way to win limited games, people. Don't do what I do. We'll play the Aradara Express. Which really we're just linking up with our Quicksmith Rebel on the next turn. And we will shoot us a Malphus squad if they play it. So far, okay, they went for the 2. That's beautiful. That lines up perfectly with what we want to do. Happy to take 2 here. Okay, we'll attack with the rats and the Prowler. And I'm down to 8. Not bad, not bad. So if they have a removal spell, it's definitely going to get tagged on the Quicksmith Rebel because they can't afford my Aradara Express beating the crap out of them. But the nice thing is, even if they do that, I still get to... Okay, they conceded. But I'll still get to crew the Aradara Express with the creatures I have left and just smash them pretty hard that way. Not bad. Made that one stupid mistake of changing my mind in the middle of the turn, in the middle of combat step, no less. That was really stupid. Think your combat steps out through. If that's not... I mean... That's a pretty good display of it. I lost a or I ordered combat stupidly because I thought I was doing something I wasn't going to do. So think your combat steps out. Second guess yourself, before combat. Don't worry about that. Take your time. If you get, don't worry about getting slow played. Just take your time. Play with purpose, but take your time when you need to. Definitely important. Be better than me. It's not hard. Alright, so we siphon her on 2, Speedway, Quicksmith with no link yet, if you will, Daring, which we have both of the black mana for. This looks like a pretty solid keep to me. Give our opponent the hello, opponent. So far we're, okay, good. We're 2 for 3 on hellos. Unless I missed the holo in the last one. I don't think I did. Blue? Haven't seen that yet. Alright, we have enough now to cast our Daring Demolition and our Quicksmith Rebel. We're just looking for an artifact to link up to the Quicksmith Rebel. I'm not opposed to casting it for 4, but I really prefer to get better value than that. Alright, there's the artifact to hook it up to. It's an interesting one. I think I'll offer a trade with the Speedway Fanatic, because I'm not doing much with it. And it will not be able to trade, obviously, with the Glint Sleeve, because the Glint Sleeve has Menace. But I'm happy to trade the Speedway for the Miner. I think at this point, they kind of see that I'm on the aggro plan. You can see they're kind of mulling it over. Just depends on how much value they want to get out of their Miner, or they're trying to block a thing they can't block with Menace. I'm not real sure. It's got Menace. Menace. So we'll see if we get attacked with the Miner. Chances are we do. Scry 2 and get 2 energy. Scry 2, get 2 energy. See, like, this is, this format definitely can support kind of dirtles, but when you have a 1-butt, that's not a dirtle you can be making. Up to 4 energy, so they can blink the Miner if they wish. Yes, I would like to draw cards. I would always like to draw cards if given the option. Alright, so the thing that's tricky is we can't Daring Demolition the Miner because they can just blink it, but I am going to offer the same combat step as I did last turn. Okay, and this is a sorcery, I do believe, so nothing doing there, unfortunately. But we do have the opponent down to 12. And the nice thing is I can play the Aradara, crew it, and attack depending on what they do. Because of the Speedway Fanatic giving the Aradara Express haste. And then the following turn, well, never mind that, because Fairground Warden's is going to snatch up our Glint Sleeve Siphoner. But I do get to Daring Demolition that guy. It's just this, right? It's just the Miner that can do that. Okay. Alright, so the reason I'm not a huge fan of the destroying the Fairgrounds Warden is because we don't really get to follow up in any meaningful way. The Aradara doesn't do much to our board. The Ambitious Aetherborn, however, is pretty good. So, eventually I will be able to get a hold of it and play it. Our opponent definitely stuck on mana as well, worth noting. We're going to make a servo, because we can then force them to start blinking out their Miner. No attackers, because that Fairground Wardens eats our Speedway Fanatic up. Oddly enough, our opponent slow rolling because of their mana issues is causing us to have to slow roll because we couldn't play the Daring Demolition on 4. We didn't have a clean target on 4 because of the Miner. Like, it's a really weird game we're in right now. I don't think they're going to attack. I'm honestly surprised they attacked. One blocker. I mean, they have to blink it. Sure. I mean, they remove it from combat, so I don't know really what the point of that was. Like, did they not think I would block with a servo? And the servo was free. Buy 4/3, get a servo free. Like, I don't know why I wouldn't block with that. But, I mean, it costs our opponent energy they're otherwise not spending. I would have played that pre-combat myself, but, you know. It's cool. I think it's just, time to come on, ride the train, because we get to get in for potential 8. We could Quicksmith Rebel to pair it with this servo, but that really doesn't do much for us in terms of it doesn't deal with the board, really. Daring Demolition equally as bad because, I mean, I can get the Fairgrounds Warden out of the way, and then I can attack with Ambitious Aetherborn and let them trade. Maybe that's the way to do it. And then next turn, come on, ride the train, because I'll have the Glint Sleeve Siphoner to crew. It's a cleaner crew. Just going to attack with the 4. If they wish to block and trade, they can. They can also block and blink, which I'm fine with them doing, because then they lose their enchantment that they spent their turn playing. Granted, while mana stuck, it's not like they had much more to do. Okay, so they just opted to trade. Which I'm fine. I mean, they are definitely behind in the race, and being able to take out a 5 cost with a 2 cost is pretty good. Doesn't, unfortunately, look like they hit another land here. This is a very good card. Our opponent's deck probably is awesome. So I would love to draw a card. Well, we're definitely going to Aradara Express here. Okay. All aboard. We'll follow up with the rats because we get the 2 energy to draw more cards. So pretty elementary there. I hope our opponent's got a 6/4 drop. Ice over. Okay, that's not really going to do it. But again, that's powerful. They just dealt with a 5-drop with a 2-drop. And then, while it was a vehicle, which is important in this format, you have to be able to deal with the vehicles while they're dormant, if you will, uncrewed. So, it's very, very important. Yes, we will draw cards. Whenever presented with the opportunity to draw cards, we're going to draw cards. Quicksmith Rebel. I don't think there is an Essence Scatter in the set. So I think they know that that's about to get very bad for them. If I'm willing to ping that for 2, things cannot be going well. So I'm about to smash you in the face. So I could have pinged you for 2. Okay. We're moving on. Moving on up. Trying to get that next win. But so far, so good. I'm definitely liking the deck we have built. It's been curving out nicely. We had ample removal at the end of that game. Granted, again, our opponent did get mana screwed. So I'm not trying to say that this deck is super sweet or anything, but it seems to be doing, from purely a perspective of looking at it, it seems to do pretty well. We haven't hiccuped yet with the Quicksmith Rebel for too long, so it's been pretty good. So we have a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 2-drop, and a 3 that puts more cards back into our hand. This isn't the best card. This isn't the best hand in the world, but I definitely don't mind keeping it. Okay, we're playing against a similar build. Oh, a very, very similar build. Alright, Subtle Strike. Alright, we definitely need more land, but we'll throw a rat. Yeah, they look to be even more low to the ground than we are. Okay, they're very invested. So that means their hand probably isn't too top heavy. And unfortunately, we just got a little mana screwed here. It's our first time getting mana screwed, so it happens, but I'm not thrilled about it. I'm hoping we can recover. But we'll see. Oh boy. I'm going to go ahead and live fast, because we need that 4th land pretty desperately. No attacks here. Yeah, this Scrapper Champion's going to have to eat the Staring Demolition #1. I'm going to unfortunately take the hit from the Scrapper Champion, which sounds like a really bad idea. Okay. They just were willing to take some of their turn off to pump. That's okay. We have, I assume, a better late game plan than they do. We just need time to implement it, is the thing. I should have attacked there, because chances are I will not block because of the pump. Return pretty good. But unfortunately for them, we have yet another removal spell. Okay. Yeah, our opponent's line is very, very aggressive. Okay. Let's go ahead and Cruel Finality. That can go on the bottom, because I think we just need a little bit more action. And we will then return. Let's get rats, because it can't be subtly struck. You've been subtle struck. And the Scrapper Champion again will eat a piece of removal. Okay. We'll go ahead and cast the rat. Next turn we can Ambitious Aetherborn. Next turn we're going to need Ambitious Aetherborn. We'll make a servo. I think we can get a slight bit more value based on our opponent's build out of our 4th Bridge Prowler. Unfortunately, I will have to trade with the Revolutionary. Oh, geez, another resourceful return. Okay. 3rd time we've had to deal with the Scrapper Champion. No attacks. Again, I'll try to eke out just a touch more value with this 4th Bridge Patrol. It's not really doing much for me here, so just as a little kind of bad subtle strike, I'll hang on to it. See what our opponent's got for us, what whacks we got to take. I mean, we're at 4. Like, we are not high on life. But if we can stabilize the board, unfortunately now they're up on resources in hand, so we're definitely in trouble. I mean, they definitely went more low to the ground than we did, and we had a bit of a slow start. So it's not great. We'll try to hang on, try our best. We definitely are presenting a wall. So part of the wall just came crashing down pretty hard. Okay, we're going to throw a servo in front of the champion. We're going to throw rat plus rebel in front of the Ironclad Revolutionary. So that way we at least get a 1-for-1. Yeah, we're going to unfortunately have to draw a card here. Okay. Ooh, we'll chase Dragster. Play 4th Bridge Patrol. Yeah. So let's crew. Yes, I want to attack them. Okay. Again, we have to throw something in front of the Scrapper Champion. Okay. Okay, just you control. Block. Fortunately, we just have to throw chumps. Yep. Pyrohelix. It's a tricky one because I can glint sleeve attack to get another energy to draw a card. It put us down to 1. And then now can't because then it's 2 attackers. No, the Pyrohelix deals with the Filigree Crawler. But I can also crew up the Dragster and attack. And then Pyrohelix down the Crawler's tokens to put us back at parity. But then the glint sleeve trades with the Scrapper Champion. Unfortunately, we're just going to end the turn. So it'll be Siphoner blocking Filigree Crawler, 4th Bridge chumping the Scrapper Champion, if we're able, and then I'll Chandra's Pyrohelix down the 2 Thopters because I have no real choice. They could crew the Mobile Garrison here, which is fine. Herald of Anguish. And they have enough to do that. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to overcome this many cards. Our opponent hit their Mythic Rare. So that's not great. It's only 1 Thopter? Oh. Thought it was T. And turn. I swear to you, I have mono land in my hand. We'll kill ourselves the classy way. That's what we got, sadly. But that's our first loss, so not a big deal. And again, we did get a little clogged on mana there, and the fact they had a lot of recursion on their creature, their double striker, that was able to just keep coming back, was really tough for us because we had fallen so far behind, we couldn't get ahead on the turns where they were spending a turn to bring it back but not casting it. So that was a really big problem for us, not being able to get ahead of those on tempo, those turns. So that's really where you see where the fumble is. So we can see that a hand that's short on mana but with some heavy playables isn't quite as good as a hand that's got a little bit more flush of a curve. So Dom the short. We'll try to keep a little bit better of a curve going forward because that is clearly the key for our deck, where that hand was a little lackluster. Which is a shame because I thought we were going to get to a point where we could stabilize nicely. Okay, this looks like an acceptable one. Got a 1-drop into a removal spell. Hello. So I'm going to put us 50% on hellos. Draw a card, lose a life. Not bad. And then draw a card, lose a life. Okay. I can't remember if all the puzzle knots just did... I'll just deal a little extra damage. I have no follow-up play, so at least I used my mana for something. 3 colors is ambitious. Okay, definitely a reason to be in those colors. So I would like the Frontline Rebel. Attacks. Flying Trample, it deals combat damage to a player, you get that much energy. Pure energy. Our opponent's deck looks like it definitely wants to go over the top. So if they have something like Attack, Blow Puzzle Knot or something, then we can get in with the Dragster. No, they have a Rishkar Pima Renegade. So, definitely in a spot of trouble here. Could definitely use one of our player set of Daring Demolitions. But it looks like otherwise stuck for mana. And they're valuing the defense a little high. And we could Oval Chase here. We could Rats. We have to attack with the Frontline Rebel, so it's a good reason to crew the Oval Chase. That throws something in front of it, or they just take 6. Without us just flat losing our Frontline Rebel. I'm willing to just kind of throw it into the red zone, because that's what it's there for. Treating it like a ball lightning. Yeah, see, that's a good clean hit for us. That's the kind of hits we need to get in. If we can get in a couple more hits like that, we're in good shape. Our opponent gets to crack us back, but if they don't have a good follow-up, then they're in a little bit of trouble. Because next turn I can just drop like something pretty inane, like a Thriving Rat, and then crew it up and get in there with the Rebel, the Automaton, and the Dragster. So they have to be careful if they just... I don't think they'll just come in, but... Our opponent definitely on the multicolor Dirtle plan. Which is, I don't know exactly where they want to be. If they sack this draw card, I know they're in trouble. Seems a little ambitious when they had this out. But losing a life at this juncture, I guess, really isn't the way to win the game. My guess is that they're just going to hold again. It's kind of been their MO here so far. Okay, so I'm going to play the Automaton here. I'm going to use it to crew. And I'm going to get in because I have Pyro Helix that can trade with the Imperial Voyager or something. Wait, no, I didn't mean to do that. The Frontline Rebel screws me up every time. Gosh darn it to heck. That was, that Frontline Rebel already being up and it's just allowing you to move is tricksy. Oy. That's brutal. Did not mean to do that, I swear. Try to get max value out of this Pyro Helix. See if we can just cleanly answer this Voyager. May have a negate. Or a way to give it protection. Cruel Finality. Yeah, it's gonna land. Well, it's good to know it would have just died in combat, but that stupid Frontline Rebel. I gotta be very careful when those are out. Alright. Opponent holding priority for whatever reason. Maybe they just don't realize they have priority. Okay. Same amount of money you could have made with the Imperial Voyager. So, what do we got? What do you got? So, I'm hoping next turn land obviously would be a great draw. Most spells in our deck would be a pretty good draw too, so we're in a pretty good spot here where no matter what we draw, we're in pretty good shape. Our opponent's not presenting much, so, I mean, that obviously can change with the... I mean, I don't think green's going to make a change, but... Scrounging Bandar. Okay. Scrounging Bandar it is. I don't know if they're going to want to get in with Rishkar here, because it's pretty valuable blocker, but it could just trade for an Augmenting Automaton, but taking a turn off to trade with their Rishkar is pretty good for them. The more turns they can take where they're just trading off is pretty good. Okay, Glint Sleeve Siphoner is pretty good. So we will play Rats. And we will play Siphoner. Yeah, it has a trigger. And we will play Siphoner. And we will not attack. Luckily, we don't need to attack. They have to. It's kind of the onus is kind of on them to deal with our Glint Sleeve Siphoner, because that's going to start powering us into more cards. Certainly no attacks. And I didn't want to fade the attack here because these become a little valuable later in the game when we have a little bit more mana to deal with. Okay. That's a piece of good news, I think, is that they're trying to dig, it seems like. They may have just knew that that was the plan, so we'll see. But it could be good news that they're trying to dig for some kind of an answer. Because Glint Sleeve is going to put us up on cards, which is pretty nice. The Menace makes it kind of hard to block. So we'll see how it goes. I think this could just be a Verdurous Gearhulk. Who knows? Can't complain too much. We did open this rare. The Siphoner. We do have two... or 4 Daring Demolition, which I'd love to see one of here. 27 cards. We actually have a good shot. Interesting. So they added a mana to their mana pool? I think. I can't tell because the timer came up. Yes, they did. Okay. Vengeful Rebel. I don't even know what this does. There's the battlefield of party. Target creature gets -3/-3. Okay. So they did find the answer to the Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And a Night Market Aeronaut. It's a good turn for our opponent. And land, while pretty good, not spectacular here. For diversity purposes, I'm going to pop this thing out. The problem is they can just block with the Night Market Aeronaut here, so no attacks, unfortunately. Luckily, the thing we have going for us is we're still at 20. Chances are the Night Market Aeronaut's going to get a counter off the Bandar, likely 2 over the course of the game. We need to find an answer pretty fast, but our deck is pretty flush. The only removal spell we've seen is our weakest with Pyrohelix. So we still have a Cruel Finality of our own and 4 Daring Demolition. So I'm not terrified of this, but it is 4 swings and we're dead. We do have only a finite amount of draw steps to find a Daring Demolition. So, and then we got to hope we get it through our opponent's blue mana sources. So we do have to be very careful here. This isn't just, you know what I mean, an open and shut case. So we'll see how the turn progresses. They still don't have great attacks outside of the Aeronaut. Aeronaut. They don't have great attacks, but I'm more afraid of their follow-ups with 4 cards in hand to our 1. Our 1 is pretty good. It's an Aradara Express, which we can crew up with the Ambitious Aetherborn if we want to and really crack in pretty hard. 8/6 Menace is no joke. But if our opponent's got decent follow-ups, we're in trouble. I don't even know what this does. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 colorless. If you do put a 1/1 counter on it, then you can pay 6 and put a 1/1 counter on each creature. It seems very good. At this stage in the game, it kind of is exactly what they want. Yeesh. Red mana, not necessarily what we wanted there. We can pump this up to a 4/4. So I'm just going to send one into the red zone. I just get a little cheeky because we can pump this to like quite a bit. We can get around our opponent, whatever they're going to do. So my thoughts are they're just going to let this thing hit them for 1 damage. Wow. Okay. Well, the thing that's going to make all your creatures bigger, I'm happy to get a creature off the board. I don't mind taking a turn to do that. Because I would have taken the turn off to just Daring Demolition. So that was like a free Daring Demolition. On a crappy creature, but it was like a free... Why would you do that when you have a card that makes all your creatures better? That seems weird. I don't know if I agree with that. This thing makes all their creatures bigger. Yeah? Yeah, pay 6, put a thing on each creature. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know why they would do that. Why they would let me just nug their guy when they have the way to make everything bigger. That's pretty baffling. Pretty baffling to me. I don't know what this is. It puts our artifact or creature from your graveyard on top of your library. 4/6. Do you elect to get that thing back? Okay. Okay, that's gas. Well, we definitely can't get cheeky again with our attack. We have to take out the Aeronaut here. So, I mean, our turn's pretty set in stone. So there's not much else we can do but just blow this up. But I don't mind keeping a decent handle on the board. Like, that's not a bad deal to me. The thing that's going to suck is the Scavenger, whatever you want to call him. Dakara Scavenger? The Dakara Scavenger can attack. That's fine. He's back. Since slightly bigger. And I'm debating on if he attacks quad blocking. It would take out Aetherborn, like I could go Aetherborn, Servo, Rats, Automaton, so it could take out Aetherborn Rat. It looks like they're tapping for mana. Okay. Oh, they wanted to attack with it. Okay, I get it. Which just blew up. I'm tempted to quad block this thing. Just throw 5 blockers in front. That gives them the option now to take out 2 Automatons if they want, plus the Aetherborn, which isn't a great spot for us with the Aradara Express left back in tow. But I think we need to kind of deal with the Scavenger. And I don't know if we can take another 5 hit. Okay. They went for the path of least resistance. That's good. That's actually a great way for them to have blocked. Because I did forget to pump one of the Automatons. Okay. What's nice is we can crew the Aradara Express and they may not see it. Because we can pump an Automaton to 2 and then use all 3 creatures to crew. So if they get saucy and attack, we can just kind of block, and I will block no matter what. I will block. If they have a trick in their hand and they're looking to kill the Aradar Express with it, then so be it. But I need to be able to do something against them. So we've managed to whittle down their resources a fair bit, so we're playing to close playing field and a close even playing field. But It's very close. It's very tight. Their creature quality is way better than ours. 3/2, 3/3. Nature's Way. Unfortunately, we can't blow them out with a block, but we can make sure they don't attack. Unless they really want to get aggressive. Okay, they're really looking to try to close this game out. Okay. It's just an easy daring demolition here. Gotta hope that they whiff. They only have 6 land, so they have a lot of room to draw more land. We have 1 turn to find something of value. That was not a value. We got theoretically 1 turn here. Unless they have a removal spell. Jesus. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you top deck Hunt the Week, I guess. It's just a shame that it took us so long to draw our removal spells that game, because we had our opponent pretty dead to rights. That's the kind of game we should win pretty easily, but our card quality was pretty low. We drew some of the weakest creatures in our deck, and we really couldn't capitalize as far as being able to... We drew 3 pieces of removal out of us. We drew half the removal in our deck. One of it was the weakest piece of removal in our deck, so that's a bit of a problem there. So we'll just, try to run it back. I'd like to win a couple games here before I lose. I think this deck's capable of winning games. Certainly. 2-drop, multiple 3s. It seems like a hand of 2 and 3, so as long as we can get a fast start, we're in good shape. But I think our opponent's on the play. I think we've only been on the play twice out of 5 games. Nope, our opponent is considering mulligan, so we actually are on the play. They've mulled to 6. Let's see if they mull any lower. They're really tanking on it, so it's a sketchy one. It's light on land or heavy on land. Hello, opponent. Alright, good. Got the hello. Keeping it even. Actually, I think we're up on hellos. I like the rats a little better here. Like I said, the Welder Automaton can win us a game late, and the Thriving Grubs just attacks as a more aggressive creature. It comes in as a 2/3. It's a lot better than the Welder Automaton coming in with a 1-butt. Perpetual Timepiece? What does this do? Huh, okay. I'm going to decline to take the action and try to get a card out of my Glint Sleeve Siphoner. Because I do not have a land. And one of the ways we've seen I can lose a game is to getting land screwed. So I'd like to maximize my chances of getting a land next turn. So if they do not have a removal spell here for the Glint Sleeve Siphoner, I get to attack with it and flow for 2 turns worth of extra draw. So I don't know how they're playing a red-black deck with Perpetual Timepiece in it. Okay, they're going for a Pia's Revolution deck. Okay. Alright, we're definitely going to draw a card. Try to maximize getting that 3rd land. Okay, we did not. opponent got a timepiece? It costs 2 to timepiece? It's a cool deck. I just would love a land here. I wouldn't even mind seeing 2 land if the Siphoner lives. I mean, I guess there's a combo of some kind. I assume they're going to go for our Siphoner here, probably a Daring Demolition. It's got the most words on it, get it. I think they've realized now with 2 land out that... Okay. Okay, there's our our third land. And pump up the rats this time, obviously, because they took care of our Glint Sleeve Siphoner. And then we'll go ahead and return our Glint Sleeve Siphoner. So no big deal. We're running them pretty light on resources here, so it's not a big deal. And we drew a Quicksmith Rebel out of our, which is not a land, I'd like to point out. So that's a problem with these kind of cards, is they've taken multiple turns now to set up. And they're clearly doing something tricky, which I think is cool. But I mean, you got to answer. I mean, like, this is a couple anemic 2-1s and 2-3s and stuff, and they're just forced to use premium pieces of removal on them. Sweat works, brawler. Wham, bam, bam. Okay. Right. I think the best course of action is simply using the Daring Demolition to take out the Sweatworks Brawler and get in for 4. And again, it's just like a Thriving Rats and a Welder Automaton. We played 1 rare and 1, 2, 3, 4 commons. Target creature can't block this turn, draw a card. Yeah, they're definitely all in on whatever shenanigans they're trying to do. Sadly, I don't think Quicksmith Rebel, it's going to do much this game, because we really don't want to pair it with the Welder, because it's just doing more on its own. Shame, I hope they weren't on their 3rd loss. It looked like it could have been a potentially cool combo. I mean, black-red's hard to get cards. Hopefully there's some puzzle knots. Onward and upward. I'd like to get at least 1 to 2 more wins out with this deck. I think it's capable of 5 to 6 wins. Well, definitely, I mean, it's not like we're going to lose. Like, that's the nice thing. It's, you know, like, you get, when you play a video game, you get a little nervous when you have your extra man, your last life. It's like, oh man, I gotta like really play hard. But it's like in Magic, you're trying to win every match, especially best of ones. You're trying to win every single match you can. So I'm gonna play as carefully with this as I would have any other time, for the most part. Some exceptions to that rule. 1 drop, 2 drop, 1 drop, 1 drop, 3 drop. So I mean, this seems fine. We're going first, so we can drop the Augmenting Automaton on turn 1, which is kind of cool. The game we lost to the mirror match against our opponent playing this, they got to be on the play. So, all right, good. We're up on hellos finally. We'll go ahead and pop them for 2. Because again, I'm not going to play the 4th bridge into nothing. I'll try to eke out a little bit of value from it. A little 1 bud or something. It's just a nice little piece. I'm in no rush to play it. Okay. We will attack. If they block, we will obviously pump. And then we will play this 3/3, which invalidates the rat attacking. Unless they remove the frontline rebel, obviously. Rebel. See what they got here. And we have Cruel Finality to get something out of the way. If we need to, they're really hovering on the Automaton. Maybe they have an artifact destruction spell. It's possible decommission, fragmentize. I believe it's fragmentize. It's been a while since I played this set. Cool set though. Love the flavor of Kaladesh. Implement of Malice. Implement of Improvement. Okay. I don't see any reason to throw the Speedway Fanatic into the mix. Although I could Fourth Bridge Patrol and then just throw them all. But then I don't have a good blocker. And no... I guess that's okay. Yes, please. Almost did it again. Because I want to go for all attack. Which it auto-highlights because that thing has to get into the red zone. Almost did it again. I would have been real pissed. That hasn't cost us a game, but it almost has. And I do not want it to actually cost us a game. What's nice is the rats still now are disincentivized to attack because of the ability to crack back for quite a bit. We'll happily discard a swamp here, so we have nothing really big to cast. Most of our stuff... Okay, they're actually attacking with the rat. I am not going to block. 100% on the no blocks. Again, our opponent looks to be mana screwed. Okay, Countless Gears Renegade's pretty good. Okay, that automatically puts that into combat. Two attackers. So if they try to double block... It's an odd block. I will play the swamp and I'll end my turn. If they try any kind of discardy effects, we have the Cruel Finality for their Countless Gears Renegade. So I'm fine with that. Again, I just don't like farting around with these implements. There's like the green one's good. I like the green one. Our opponent has up a ton of resources, and it looks like they're finally hitting their lands. Oh, that's 100% getting Cruel Finality. Yeah, so keep that on top. Get that thing straight out of here. Make a servo. May have been right to go for the +1/+1 counter there. It's just so hard to put your eggs in one basket. It really is. It's very hard to do. But you can see like kind of how mediocre the Speedway Fanatic's been. It really hasn't attacked much. It did give Ardar Express haste once, but kind of highly medium. Because it really can't attack. Because the servos just answer it. So much of the game is answer. So much of its power and toughness are answerable with free effects. So it just makes that kind of pretty medium. But I mean, as a 2/1 haster, it can kind of get them sometimes. Like cool 2, and then they don't play anything on their 2, and you attack them again. So sometimes it's good for like 4 damage or something. If they're cracking an implement here, it means their hand quality is not very good, or they're just digging for land. So they must have a 4-drop. I don't think they would just straight not do that. Unless they have a removal spell. I mean, they have to have something to tie up their mana. Hidden Stockpile. I don't know about that. Okay. You play Hidden Stockpile. I will play Aradara Express. I guess it's waiting on our opponent, who's, like, dirtling. Oh. Sorry, thought I clicked it, because there's a lot of pointy arrows. Am I willing to let them trade 2 things? No. I'll take the safe attack. I mean, they're gonna throw both in front of the Ardar Express anyway. I mean, what's nice is, I mean, they can make a servo. I mean, maybe they'll have a good 5-drop. Maybe that's just kind of what they've been waiting for. But I feel like I've built this deck before. It's not great. It seems cool, but it's just at the end of the day, you're spinning out a bunch of servos. Meanwhile, I'm Aradar expressing you to death. And, like, yeah, see, like, we're implementing for nothing. We're wasting a mana to make me do nothing. Like, pay a black, draw a card is fine, and make a 1/1 is fine, but this late in the game, you need something a little bit more substantial. Maybe they have a removal spell. I don't know. They're hovering over our stuff quite a bit. Maybe it's a removal spell. I'm not real sure. Okay, Daring Demolition. They spend their turn to do that. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're dead. Well, they're definitely... They have to block the Ambitious Aetherborn. And I get to pump 3 times. So 4, 5, 8. I mean, this little guy does work, right? Like, he's not that bad. And now they need a sweeper. They need a sweeper or 5 creatures. I mean, Automaton's bad. Ambitious Aetherborn is bad. I mean, just, they need something. More than that stockpile can give. They Fumigate? Okay, Gifted Aetherborn's a real card. Alright, they can spit out 2 dudes. Not a fan of that. I'm not going to attack here because I believe they're disincentivized from attacking. If they throw the Gifted Aetherborn my way, I can just chump it with the Augmenting Automaton. I mean, if they throw it my way, I can kind of just swing back at them. Yeah, I guess they can't do that unless they have a good follow-up. So if they swing the Aetherborn, I'm going to assume they have a really good follow-up. But we have Quicksmith Rebel in our deck. We have a number of ways. We have the Welding Automaton. We have a number of ways to deal 1 damage above and beyond the stall board state, which is what I was talking about way back in the draft portion. So, wow, they're swinging the Gifted Aetherborn. If they have a trick, they have a trick, but I'm willing to let them have a servo to take out their Gifted Aetherborn. Maybe a Subtle Strike or something, but if that's what they have, that's fine. Target permanent gains indestructible until end turn. Okay. So they don't get... So they... That's weird. I mean, they get to keep the thing alive, I guess. And the thing is, now they have to kind of block both of these creatures. Okay, they're going to triple block the Gifted Aetherborn. Another trick. Yes. That's annoying. Like, we should have our opponent dead to rights here, and, like, meanwhile, they're utilizing, like, just some trash to get there. Sad this is, like, in the past 2 games that the Automaton has become one of our best cards. Our opponent's getting cocky. I'm assuming they have a great follow-up here. It could just be another one of these things. I mean, their deck seems to be full of goofy. I mean, they're heavily committed to, like, the random stockpile stuff. I mean, that's clearly their jam. And they're going as far as to scry 1. Which is fine. That's kind of where you want to be. So they're clearly comfortable enough. I wish it told you where they scried. Glint Sleeve Siphoner. I'm going to shove, obviously, with the Augmenting Automaton, because, like, yeah, chances are that's going to happen. Sack a creature, scry 1. Already have something weird. Yeah, it's fine. I'd rather you do it on your turn. And it may not be negligible, but the menace is actually something the opponent has to think about a little bit. Or they don't. Opponent trying to close out the game. See what their follow-up is. I mean, they've definitely done a really nice job of battling back into it with nonsense. I mean, you got to give them that. Just don't know if we can win this game at this point. Quicksmith Rebel is like a nut straw for us. If we can hit the Quicksmith Rebel, we're in good shape. If we can't hit that, if we hit Quicksmith Rebel, we take out the Solemn Recruit. Well, no, we can't, because that's gonna revolt. Yeah, I just don't know if we can win this game at this point. Our opponent's hidden stockpile nonsense deck will get them there. It looks like. I don't have enough. Let me draw my card. Let me draw my land. Chandra's Pyro Helix. Problem is, it's 2 mana for 2. Like, all I can think to do here is attack with everything. Try to, like, I doubt they'll let the Automaton through, but the Automaton can get in 5 damage, which would be enough to win with Pyro Helix. We don't lose on our next turn. No, this gives something flying, right? Yeah, so we lose on our next turn, so we definitely combat with everything here. I don't think our opponent at this point in the game, they've played very carefully. I don't think they'd get cocky enough to not, like, or to just block the Automaton or something. I mean, like, that's really all they have to answer at this point in the game. Yeah, I just don't think there's much we can do here. Yeah. Unfortunately, we fizzled out. That's all we had. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's just... Man... Beaten by... That one's a little grating because, I mean, I don't want to be rude, but that deck was a pile of crap. There wasn't much going on in that deck, and it's just they happened to draw gas pretty much until then, and then they were able to scry once they finished hitting gas. So that's a little discouraging, but $450 in a pack of Aether Revolt, which isn't all that useful, so I'll open the pack to end the recording here. A little under 2 hours. Let's see here. What do we got? Kari Zev's Expertise, which we saw earlier. So that is another draft from your friends at Supraliminal Games. Again, thank you so much for watching. Leave comments down below. Let me know if I'm crazy and that hidden stockpile deck was solid gas or what. But I feel like one of those matches we got Mana Screwed and Stumbled. The other one we faced the mirror and got that was the same game. We kind of got stumbled and got beat down, and then finally played against hidden stockpile and got valued out by questionable cards. So stuff I definitely wasn't thinking to necessarily play around. So again, if you want more stuff, we have more stuff for you. Supraliminal Films, YouTube, Twitch, check us out. Thank you so much. My name is Max. Cast more spells.